we have just passed it. Have you seen anything special? Nothing, right? So, because both countries are part of the European Union, so there is no border really anymore. You just know that we have reached Portugal because there is a sign in front of us that is telling us so. Otherwise, we'd just keep driving and we wouldn't see much of a difference. Well, anyway, the first part of the history until the 8th century is common to Spain. The Visigoths came here, and the Swabi also. The Swabi, they went through Spain, but they did not stop. They came all the way to Portugal, and they came from Germany. They were the Schwabs, which is the region of Stuttgart these days, and they came together with the Visigoths, and then they were pushed out by the Muslims and the Moors. But then by 848 the first kingdom of Portugal was born, and it was sort of an autonomous region within a bigger kingdom. So it was part of the kingdom of Leon, which was a northern Spanish kingdom that actually always remained Catholic, that was not taken by the Muslims. And then by 1143, then the kingdom of Portugal became independent, and the country remained so up until these days. Although well, Muslims came through, and they actually kept the kingdom of Portugal, but they took control of it until the Reconquista in 1492. The Muslims were expelled from here as well, and then Portugal continued to grow as a very important country for politics and trading, because a lot of expeditions also left from Portugal, and the most important colony abroad that Portugal made was Brazil, but many others as well, due to the fact that Portugal was a very important colonial power. Today 250 million people on the planet speak Portuguese in different parts of the world. But then, well, after the 15th century, the power of Portugal started to decrease. They had problems in 1640 with the War of Succession in Spain, and then later in the 19th century they were occupied during the Napoleonic Wars, and by 1822 they lost Brazil and most of the colonies and remained the mainland Portugal. That went through a time of hardship at the beginning of the 20th century as well. Sorry. And that time of hardship led to Portugal being a dictatorship like Spain until 1974, and then after 1974, like Spain, they came out of the dictatorship and started developing as an industrial country that is actually doing quite well these days, and is considered to be one of the richest countries in Europe. It is the 14th country in the world with the largest reserve of gold in the National Bank, for example, and it is also about 40% of the reserves of lithium on the planet, which is actually today something very good to have, because the lithium is very expensive and used now for the batteries for all electric devices. or especially the cars these days, and new vehicles. So, well, Portugal went from a rather poor country in the mid-1970s to one of the richest countries in Europe in 2012, and it has developed ever since. I don't know who gave me something that scratches my throat, but I have a cat in there that's growling. So Portugal is also divided into 3 regions, and there is the south region. I mentioned the Algarve with the beaches. Then there is the central region, which is hilly and which is where most agriculture production takes place. And then the northern part of Portugal is more mountainous, but 3 regions have access to the Atlantic. Now in the 1990s, Portugal also became part of the European Union, and in 2001 they were amongst the first countries to adopt the euro. So here again we will be using the euro, but we will have to speak another language, so we have to forget about Spanish for a couple of days and start speaking Portuguese now. So we can start with one word, and you will see that the Portuguese are quite nice and quite helpful. So the most important word that you need here is how to say thank you in Portuguese. So if you're a gentleman, you will say obrigado, and if you're a lady, you will say obrigada.
Obrigada.
So that's already good for 2 days, right? And then if you stay longer, then you might want to learn more words. As for the scenery today, well, we have left the Sierra Morena behind, so we are back to the same kind of scenery as we had when we left Seville, and well, again, still a lot of oak trees. Portugal also shares the production of Iberian ham with Spain, and the quality of the Portuguese one, as I mentioned before, is even higher than the Spanish one. Well, on this trip we will concentrate more on the Lisbon region, as we will be visiting the capital a little bit this afternoon, and then again tomorrow, and then most of you will also join us to go and see the Estoril coast, which is the Atlantic coast just off from Lisbon, where they have the royal residences. So we will be visiting Sintra and Cascais, the most important of them.